Hi Sharon and David. We just had a good soaking rain, so this is a nice time to show off the garden for you. The view that you have right now is looking down my front steps, and we're actually going to turn the other way, and we're going to walk into the garden. We'll see how this works. Sounds like we might be getting more rain, but I think it's just a breeze. So we're walking up into the garden. Passing a sweet cherry tree, which is having a good year, and a bay, and a cherry tree that's not having a good year, and we have raspberries coming up on my left. On my right, that's a row of blueberries straight ahead, and to the right side of that path is a row of pear trees of different varieties. Those flowers hanging down in front of the pear tree are Sedelcia, which are a native Oregon flowering plant. Walking back straight up into the garden, raspberries on the left, very bold sunflowers straight ahead, bunch of I think California poppies. A dormant beehive, we're not doing anything with it this year. Right in front of that, a different breed of Oregon Sedelcia. To the right is what I'm calling the salad bowl this year. Sort of resembles a soccer goal with a bunch of greens planted in the middle and peas growing up the sides, with some garbanzo bean bushes thrown in for good measure just because they are sort of my favorite bush in the garden because they're very pretty. Then this plot is quinoa closest to me, with sunflowers behind. Quinoa grows quite tall as well, not quite as tall as sunflowers will, but the quinoa will get certainly up to 5.5 feet tall. That's that brilliant Sedelcia I mentioned before. Grape arbor in the back with strawberries just in front of them that are almost finished. Two pole bean tripods with 6 different kinds of pole beans, one on each side of the triangles. One of 2 garlic plots, the other one on the other side of the beans. This is all peppers in the front row, with more bush beans in the second row, which are having very, very mixed results this year. Probably a mix of valid seed and old expired seed. Those are tomatoes that we just staked up. Those are the strawberries again in the back corner. And then this big, gigantic tumbleweed of a fellow is all asparagus, which is already bolted, and it will just continue to grow a bit higher. It's probably pretty much in the 6-foot range at this point, and it will dry out into a giant tumbleweed, and then we'll cut it down to the ground and mulch it, and it'll do the same thing again next year. Oftentimes a haven for ladybugs, although I don't see any at the moment. And then looking off that way, that would take us to the compost. On the right side of the path are a bunch of different apple trees. And up to, that's another grape arbor there on the left. So now turning, looking down, this is a patch of blackcap raspberries, different breed, really wonderful. And they've actually started fruiting, but they'll be around for a while. This is the other side of the salad bowl. So you see some squash in the corner next to some kale, a bunch of different lettuces, some dill. Getting a little closer to the peas. Those purple peas are, I think they're called Blaustock, which is a pea that Mom sent me this year, which has done very well. Let's see. This is obviously our sitting area under an old plum tree. Looking down that aisle, you're seeing a bunch of green apples that have fallen down from one of the apple trees. The ladder is next to a cherry tree, and beyond the ladder you can't see it, but there's a hammock and a cherry tree, some fig trees. So this is called a pawpaw. We actually have two of them in the yard. There's the other one. It is actually an American tree. It does fruit, sort of a combination between a papaya and a mango. These trees have both been very sickly the last couple of years, although this guy seems to have suddenly had a growth spurt literally in the last 30 days. So who knows, he may pull through. You may notice he has very wrinkly leaves, and that seems to be some sort of a fungus we've had in the garden for at least the last year and probably longer. This guy's looking a little healthier, if a little shorter. That mound is our fire pit, as yet unused this year. And looking towards some roses there. Here's some rhubarb, which seems to have happily survived the hail we just had. Looking back into the salad bowl, looking into the soccer goal end, so this is more peas. And right in the center, we have a bunch of greens that are now bolting. And that's a mix of what was kale, mizuna, arugula, all the white flowers. Arugula seems to thrive anywhere it reseeds itself here. We have really good arugula. Romaine lettuce, which I put in as an experiment this year, and it has succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. Absolutely beautiful and strangely bug-proof. Some chard buried away back in there, rainbow chard, and just bolting back here on these pretty bushes here, spinach. And this is a sour cherry tree up above the benches, which is also having a great year. Last year they were disgusting and wormy. This year I just made a bunch of delicious ham pies with filling from the sour cherries. And I think I'll quickly take you down along the blueberries, because I think we may be getting more rain. So down another stairway, passing more Sedelcia, under the plum tree. Lots of Sedelcia here. And then this is the back of my neighbor's house. I live on the floor beneath them. That's me down right side of the house and below. So this is a pear tree. Everything down this side are pear trees of different varieties. And everything down this side are blueberry bushes, which were transplanted last year. Haven't fruited yet. Looks like that some of them will this year. Different rose varieties. Some Sedelcia that are actually roped up because they were growing into the path. More pears. And that is your 8-minute and 12-second garden tour.